Hi everybody! Today I'm going to teach you how to make a rainbow bracelet with bead gallery beads and the Rainbow Loom, both available at Michael's stores. So let's get started. What you're going to need for this project today is going to be a head pin, which is this, chain nose pliers, a Rainbow Loom tool, a Rainbow Loom hook tool, these 5 different strands of beads that you can get at Michael's stores along with the bead loom or Rainbow Loom. And you'll need the bands, the Rainbow Loom bands. This variety pack is nice because it's got everything you need for this project. And a pair of wire trimmers. So we're going to start off by making the tool that we need to use to get the bands through the beads that we're going to use. So this is a head pin. It's got a little head right here on the top, and we need to get that off. So I'm going to trim it with my nippers. I'm going to turn it down toward my bead mat, which is another nice thing to have. It keeps your beads from rolling around on you. And then I'm going to make a bend in the wire. Now you don't need to make the wire so that it is perfectly even. You don't want to necessarily bend it in half because having a little bit of a tail here at this end makes it easier to get the bands onto the wire. So you're going to start by bending it just with your fingers, and then once it gets too close, you're going to use your chain nose pliers, and you're going to keep bending it until you've got a really tight V here. And like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be good enough to get those bands onto so that your bands can then get through the beads. So see how that's nice and tight? Go ahead and show that to you. So now that we've got this done, we can start by putting bands on our beads. Now you can start, I just went ahead and I trimmed the ends off of these strands, and I pulled a few beads from each strand to make a rainbow effect. So we started with the dark red, worked our way through orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. And I found that 15 beads is a really nice amount to use for these projects because it makes a band that'll go all the way around your wrist, and it's not too tight and it's not too loose. It stays on my wrist. It'll stay on most wrists. I have an average like 6.5 to 7 inch wrist. So it'll work for most people. So go ahead and choose a band that matches the color of bead you're going to be using, and put the band onto your little tool here. So it'll go all the way down to the V part of your tool. Then you're going to put those ends through a bead, pull it through part way, and then you're going to take the tool off. And what you're left with is this great band with a bead on it. So it'll be ready to go on your loom. And I found that it's a lot faster if you go ahead and do all the beads at once, and then you can just go ahead and do all your bands at the same time too. So I went ahead and went through all of those strands of beads and chose the ones that I want and put them in the order I want. And I put bands that coordinate with each of the bead colors into the project. So once you've got all of that done, you're actually ready to start working with your loom. So I'm gonna tip it up like this sometimes so that you can see it better. But you can use any 2 pegs. They just have to be next to each other on the loom. And we're gonna start off with red bands, since I'm going to start at the red end and work this way. It really helps to lay things out, and that just keeps it all more organized and it makes it go faster. So the first band you're going to actually make into a figure 8, so you're going to twist it like that. And you're going to place it over 2 of the pegs, like that. So it's got that, it looks like an 8 from the top, like this. Then I'm going to use the same color. I'll go with red again and just put it on regularly. So you've got 2 beads on, or 2 bands on. Then you're going to put a 3rd band on that also coordinates with this red color you want to start off with. So you'll have 3 bands on your loom all together. Then you're going to use your tool And you're gonna pull the right side of that bottom band up and over onto the top, and then the left side. So like underneath here, you can grab onto it and you can hold it that way. That keeps the bands from popping off. Then I usually like to slide these down just a little bit. And so once you've got that done, then you're ready to start with your beads or your beaded bands. Put the first one on there, one loop on either side. And you're gonna continue with the same pattern of looping up and around, up and around. And I think it's really helpful as you're doing this to pull like that, and then see how it pulls, hold that there. See how it pulls this right in line next to the bead? That's important to kind of keep everything lined up. Then we're gonna put another red band on since that's the color we're working with. So you're gonna alternate one beaded band, one non-beaded band. So here's the non-beaded band, and we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna take the bottom band and move up, the bottom band and move up, and then I'm gonna use this hook actually and grab those, or you can just use your fingers. And you do this. Now see how this band kind of is not behaving? You want that band, that one to be on top. So I'm gonna work it so it's always on the top. So give it a yank so that bead, the band goes on top of the bead, the one you just put on. Then the next band you're gonna do is a beaded band. So we'll do the next one up. And pull this out. This also helps when you pull it out, it helps to kind of grab the lowest band. You can see what you're doing a little bit better. Pull it up and around. Give it a little pull to keep everything in line. And then we're gonna shift to the orange bands and continue on like this. On up the loom. Make sure you only get one band each time. That one popped right into place. You want it to be right at the top there like that. Then I'll put the beaded orange on. Just keep going, following the bands that you've laid out. And so next one's yellow, so I'll go with, find a yellow band. And work my way through the whole rainbow. Now if you want to use other kinds of beads with this, I found there are certain things, certain things you have to be sure to have. Well, first of all, you have to make sure that the bands will fit through the beads. So you're looking for a relatively large hole bead. These beads don't have super huge holes, but I'd say they're about 2 millimeters. So go for that amount. I've gotten them into smaller ones, but if you go too small, you run the risk of severing the band, because these are just rubber bands and you can't, you shouldn't use probably sharp metal beads, like some of the round beads have sharp metal edges on their holes, and that wouldn't work so well because you'd hate to put all this work into making your bracelet and then have it fall apart. So that you have to be really careful of. And also when you're choosing, if you're gonna choose to do a similar design to this, you don't want to choose a bead that won't fit between these two pegs. This might be a little bit bigger right here, so you could use a bigger bead there. But you have to look at the size of the bead and the bead's holes. Those are the two things, and also the material. Some metal beads work, but they just have to have soft edges on the holes so they don't bother things. So there we go, we've got a good start here. All the way up to our green beads.
So you don't get bored, I thought I'd speed this up a little bit. I'm just adding a band and then a beaded band, alternating the two as I work through all these beads. We're going to keep going here until we get all the way to the end, up to the purple. and then we'll slow things down so I can show you how to finish the bracelet.
Okay, now we're coming up on our last beaded band. And when you hit that last beaded band, go ahead and do it like you've done the others. And then add one more plain band. Like that, give it a nice pull, make sure it's all lined up. And then when there are just 2 bands left on the pegs, pull the last one up like that. So there's just 1 band left on the pegs. And then if you pull it out away from there, you can kind of pick up that band on your hook like this. And you'll use your little C-clip to connect this end of the bracelet. You have to, it takes a minute. You have to make sure you get the bands right inside there like that. So you get them right inside there, and then you loop the other end of the bracelet into the C-clip as well. And there you have your rainbow bracelet. Rainbow Loom, Rainbow Bead bracelet. Thanks for watching, and come back to our Halcraft USA channel for more fun how-tos. Bye! Try making this same design with a variety of beads and bands. And for more great free tips, techniques, and inspiration, visit us at www.halcraft.com. Happy beading!